Welcome to the Pro Sports Fan Show. I'm yours, Robert. I'm also the host of the Pro Wrestling Fan Show, and this video will actually be seen on both channels. Today I'm doing a hot topic video about media and sports fans. I'm a big NASCAR fan, and this past weekend was the Super Bowl NASCAR race in the Daytona 500. 55th running of the Daytona 500. Danica Patrick was on the pole. First female to ever be on a pole for a NASCAR sanctioned race. Kudos to her. I'm very impressed. A lot of the media have been just going on and saying stuff out their ass like they don't know what the heck they're talking about. This is not her first race, ever. This is not her first stock car race. Danica has raced 115 IZOD IndyCar races. She's raced in, what I read, 59 NASCAR nationwide races. This is her 11th NASCAR Sprint Cup race. She's had 70 stock car races and 115 IndyCar races. She has one win in the IndyCar circuit. She now has one pole in NASCAR. I'm just tired of the media going on and just reporting stupid stuff about her. Yes, she's the first female to win a pole. Great. Yes, she is the highest finishing female in the NASCAR race. Great. Regardless, male or female, she is a NASCAR Sprint Cup driver. Period. She's dating one of the other drivers, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That's fine and dandy, to each their own. Personal is personal, NASCAR is NASCAR. The fact that they bring this up during the race, they talk about this during the race. There's other things to talk about. You know, the Grand Marshal of the race said, gentlemen, and Danica, start your engines. No, it should have been NASCAR drivers or race car drivers, start your engines. I'm tired of them throwing the female, oh, she's the first female to do this, first female to do that. That's great and all, but you know what? Talk about her as a race car driver. This was her second Daytona 500. A lot of guys have won the pole in their second Daytona 500. She's not the first. Yes, she ran in the top 11 all day long. That's great. Other drivers have done this. Talk about the other drivers. You know, talk about Kevin Harvick winning the Sprint Unlimited race and winning the Budweiser Dual 150. You don't talk, and he had a chance for the first ever sweep. Unfortunately, he was taken out in an accident, but that wasn't talked about. It was all Danica. The Danica mania is fine, but quit referring to her as a female race car driver. She is a race car driver, plain and simple. The Saturday Daytona NASCAR Busch nationwide race, there was a bad accident on the final lap. Unfortunately, 26 fans were injured. Horrible thing that happened. If y'all haven't seen this accident, the gist of it is Kyle Larson's car got airborne and went up into the catch fence, which is the fence between the race car drivers and the fans. When it got into there, it basically tore a hole in there. The motor of the car got sheared away from the car. It was in the fan side of this fence, along with pieces of the car, the front tires, whatnot. I know some fans, one had a broken leg, and there's actually a couple fans still in the hospital from this. Horrible. But any fan that's ever been to a NASCAR race at Daytona or Talladega, you know if you're sitting that close to the action, there is a chance of this happening. Almost every event you go to, either be racing, professional wrestling, baseball, football, whatever it is, on the back of the ticket, there's a liabilities thing. You know, you take risk for being here. You're responsible for your own safety. These fans should realize when you're sitting that close and something catastrophic like this happens, you can't automatically sue the racetrack. You can't sue NASCAR. You can't sue the makers of the fence. Come on, people. Did anybody who put these fences up, that when these fences were constructed in the wherever the hell they were constructed at, do you think that person went, you know, Somebody on a Saturday afternoon is going to get airborne. Their car is going to go in this. The motor's going to shear away, and parts are going to fly into the crowd. Nobody wants that to happen. Nobody. I mean, it was a catastrophic accident. But yet, these people want to sue over it. You know, the sue-happy people that we have in this world right now is just unbelievable. You know, I live in St. Louis, Missouri. We got a lot of snow over the last week. You know, Kansas City got 2 foot of snow in 2 weeks. People, you know, they want to sue over, oh, I fell in the parking lot because there was snow, or, oh, that coffee is hot, it spilled on me. I want to sue over it. I'm just tired of this people that want to sue. You know, or they do something in their own car, they hit a pole and they blame somebody else. You know, it's just, people need to realize, take responsibility for what they're doing. You know, I'm going to the Extreme Rules WWE event in May, the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. I know if there's a fight in the stands and I'm standing there next to Seth Rollins and I get hit, it's on me. You know, if Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose walk down the aisle and I stick my arm out and they push me down, it's on me. I know if I'm standing there and, you know, somebody swings a chair and I go, woohoo! And get hit in the face with a chair, I can't sue the wrestler that did it. I can't sue WWE. I can't sue the Savage Center. It's my own thing. I know by going to this event, I could be involved in it. You know? All right. Media. This Glenn Beck and everything over the Jack Swagger incident, he needs just to shut his mouth. You know, if you don't know what you're talking about, please don't talk about it. Just like with Sports Center reporting on Danica Patrick, if you don't know the facts, shut your mouth. That's all I got to say. You know, I know with pro wrestling, you know, 90% of pro wrestling is opinion-based. That's fine. You got an opinion about it? Great, say it. You know, just like NASCAR. You got an opinion about, if you're not a NASCAR fan, they just turn left, they just drive in a circle, in a circle, in a circle. You know, it takes athletic ability to, the endurance it takes, and the ability it takes to do this. You know, for 500 miles, you know, 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever it is, you got to be in pretty good shape to do it. I'm sorry to tell you this. You know, on the high banks of Daytona, 33-degree bank, and you're driving like this, it takes a lot out of your body to do this. You sweat a lot, you know. You got to have great endurance. You got to have a good, you know, good work ethic, and you're, you know, working out. But, you know, just the people that don't know what they're talking about, I'm tired of that. You know, Danica, Sports Center, and it was her first ever NASCAR race, and she won the pole. Well, it wasn't her first race. Get over yourself. Learn the facts, move on. You know, if I say something, you know, wrestling, I hate John Cena. Woohoo! 3 moves, 0 talent. That's my opinion. It's not fact, it's my opinion. 90% of professional wrestling's opinion. NASCAR. Jimmy Johnson, 5-time one-skip champion. Fact. Jeff Gordon, this was his 20th Daytona 500. Fact. Danica Patrick, her 2nd Daytona 500. Fact. Jeff Gordon is better than any other NASCAR driver there is. My opinion. You might have a different opinion. Some people like the defending champion, Brad Keselowski. I can't stand him. Opinion. You know, talking about, you know, get back on John Cena. 10-time WWE champion. It's a fact. You can look it up. You know, people need to realize when they talk, unless you know it's a fact or it's an opinion, you need to express yourself. Here in the St. Louis market, there's an afternoon sports show on an FM station. I'm not going to say which station. And they do what they call the 4 o'clock challenge. They have, you know, callers call in and answer questions against one of their hosts. And they can win prizes. This is the biggest rigged piece of shit I've ever heard. This announcer on there, he thinks he knows everything there is to know about sports. And when he answers the questions, it's like, really, dude? You know, you just, if you know it, great, say it. But you already know the questions before they're asked. Because there's times where they'll ask him a question like, you know, for example, how many championships has Jimmy Johnson won? 5. I mean, he answers it that quick. Come on. you're not going to answer a question as quick as it comes out of the other guy's mouth unless you've seen the questions. I think it's rigged. I think they need to do something. They need to do something different because I'm tired of listening to this guy just, spew all over the afternoon radio. Yeah, I could change the channel. Some people would say that. Unfortunately, there's only 2 afternoon sports shows on right now, and I don't like either one of them. So if I want to listen to talk radio, I'm stuck. I could listen to country music. Well, I am a country music fan, but, had to make fun of it there a little bit. That's about all I really have to say about these 2 topics right now. I kind of got out what I needed to get out. I do want to add something else. Kind of a surprise here. Major League Baseball. Performance enhancing drugs. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of everybody saying these people that played in the late 80s to 90s to early 2000s, they're not Hall of Fame worthy. I'm sorry, if you got the numbers, you should be in the Hall of Fame. I'd rather see somebody with 783 home runs in the Hall of Fame who never tested positive, but we all think used PEDs. Instead of somebody who hit, 397 home runs that we think was clean. Let me tell you something. Baseball has always had its issues. In the 90s and early 2000s, it was, steroids and HGH and all this. In the 80s, it was marijuana, speed, drugs like that. They've always used uppers and beanies or whatever you want to call them back in the 60s and 70s. We don't know for a fact that these older players from the 50s, 60s, 70s were completely clean. We don't know the players in the 80s and 90s and 2000s were dirty. There was no testing. Yes, steroids were illegal to possess. Possession of steroids is illegal. There was no rule in baseball that said if you get caught with steroids, you get suspended. Nothing. Do I fault these players trying to make these millions and millions of dollars by doing this? No, I don't. You know what? It's your body. You're the one that's going to have to deal with the aftermath in your life of taking these steroids. But you know what? Since it wasn't illegal to baseball, don't penalize them. Mark McGwire, he's admitted to it now that he's done something. I still think he needs to be in the Hall of Fame based on his numbers. Put on the plaque, hey, this guy played this era. This era was known as the steroid era. Boom. Barry Bonds, same way. Barry Bonds has never failed any drug test. Barry Bonds has never said he did it. There is no proof, hard evidence proof. Yes, there's a lot of evidence saying, okay, his head grown or he's gotten bigger. Look at his rookie year to his last year. His arms are this big around. Okay, you know what? I see that. That's all circumstantial evidence. There's no guaranteed proof. Roger Clemens is another one. Andy Pettitte, he admitted to it. He shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Rafael Palmeiro, one of the greatest switch hitters in baseball. See, there was an inaccurate fact. Made a mistake. He was a left-handed hitter. My bad. He's one of the greatest left-handed hitters of all time. He played for multiple teams. He had, 3,000 hits, 400 some home runs. He actually failed a drug test. He shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose. Everybody goes to the Pete Rose thing. 4,000 hits, the all-time hit leader. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Yes, he betted on baseball after he put the numbers up. It'd be just like O.J. Simpson. He, was on trial for double murder, was found not guilty. He's now in jail for larceny or whatever, stealing or whatever he did. Well, he went to jail after his playing career. Do you take him out of the Hall of Fame? No. These Hall of Fames are based on what they did as a player. Sometimes a player and a manager, but what they did as a player. Tony La Russa, Joe Torre, Bobby Cox, Jim Leland. When you hear these names, you think of some of the greatest managers of all time. Tony La Russa, he is the second winningest manager of all time. He's also the second losingest manager of all time. Tony La Russa, a lot of people say in 5 years, guaranteed Hall of Famer. Whoa! Back it up. If Mark McGwire, who played for him, Jose Canseco, who played for him, are not Hall of Famers, how can the manager be in the Hall of Fame? You're telling me he would have all them wins if it wasn't for the steroid boys? Them Bash brothers of the Oakland A's days for La Russa? Are you telling me if it wasn't for them, they would have made it to 3 straight World Series and won one? Come on. Dennis Eckersley, Dave Stewart, Bob Welch. Some good pitchers of that area. How do we know they weren't doing something? The hitters sure were. You know, Joe Torre. You know, he managed multiple teams and, you know, won a lot of World Series. Didn't Alex Rodriguez play for him? He did. Then some other known steroid cheats, Roger Clemens, Andy Pettit. Huh. So you're telling me the Hall of Fame's not good enough for the players, but the managers are going to be there? I disagree with that. It's either all or nothing. You can't tell me that those managers would have the same number of wins if it wasn't for the players that were doing the steroids. I guarantee they would not. Baseball needs to figure it out. They need to realize either, 1, we let the players in, we move on, or 2, we don't do the managers or the players. The Hall of Fame is supposed to be sacred. The Hall of Fame is for the greats of the game. Great. Put these players in, you know. Craig Biggio, 3,000 hits. Great player. One of my favorite players, actually. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He has the numbers. I keep talking about numbers, numbers, numbers. For some of you fans who don't know, there's an unwritten rule that in order to be in the Hall of Fame as a starting pitcher, you have to have 300 wins. For a hitter, you got to have 3,000 hits or 400 home runs. Those are kind of the benchmarks. And saves, I think at one time it was like 300 or 400 saves to be in the Hall of Fame. Those are kind of the benchmark numbers they kind of based everybody's off of. Yeah, there are players in there that didn't achieve either one. Roberto Alomar, one of the greatest second basemen in the history of the game. Barry Larkin, one of the greatest shortstops in the history of the game. But you know what? There's enough players that had the numbers, you know, the George Brett, Cal Ripken, Wade Boggs. 3 Hall of Fame, Mike Smith. 4 Hall of Fame third basemen. You know, Cal Ripken Jr. was a shortstop and third baseman. George Brett was third base, first base. Robin Yount, shortstop, center field. Paul Molitor, he was a DH at the end of his career. When he played first base, he played second base. You know, Edgar Martinez is supposed to be coming for the Hall of Fame soon. He was a DH 99% of his career. He shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. You know, they need to look at these players and not think of the era they played in, because you know what? The hitters were on steroids. I bet the pitchers were too. And Major League Baseball sat back and went, we're making millions and millions of dollars on this. 1998, the home run race. Just like every other baseball fan, I was on the edge of the couch watching. Every time Sports Center would come on, ooh, did McGwire hit one? Did Sosa hit one? You know, when Barry Bonds 2001, ooh, they broke in every Sports Center to see Barry Bonds at bats. Everybody, and what we know now, we knew then. We knew they were on something. It was obvious. Look at the history of baseball. You know what? There was years that Wade Boggs had more home runs one year than he ever did any part of his career. Brady Anderson, he had more home runs one year than he ever did any other year in his career. You know, obviously you see what my dog feels about steroids. You know, as you've kind of seen in the video off and on, my dog Bentley, he's a golden doodle. You've heard him in one of my wrestling videos. You heard him barking in the background at the end. He's a guard dog. So, you know, baseball just needs to figure it out. And decide who's Hall of Fame and who's not. I don't want to see the players get blackballed and the managers go in. That's just ridiculous. So that's about all I gotta say right now. I actually feel a lot better about these topics since I was able to get my frustration out. I'm hoping everybody will tune in and watch this video and watch my other videos on Pro Wrestling Fan Show. I got a couple videos on Pro Sports Fan Show. You can also check me out on the IWR Show, formerly known as the IWR Show. Now it's called Pro Wrestling Pulse. There's 2 different channels on YouTube. You can check me out on there. Or if you just go to the Pro Wrestling Fan Show, you can actually see my I favored the 44 videos I was in from the IWR and Pro Wrestling Pulse. Or you can check out the Pulse and see J-Man and Quaddy and Rhineback, and check out B Daddy J Productions and see B Daddy J and Brian do their football picks. Well, that's all I got to say about all this tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.